Hello there, my name is Statistical and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, in this video, really wanted to talk to you guys and girls about a lot of important stuff. We're gonna take a look at the big charts, small charts. I wanna break some myths about trading in general, just like the RSI right here. Then I wanna talk about CPIs, what's actually has more importance currently. Then I wanna talk about some on-chain metrics that are incredibly important to understand the current situation and what we can expect from the price. And this is gonna be one of the most important videos on my YouTube channel about Bitcoin and about the future of Bitcoin currently. So this is serious. So I strongly suggest, if you're into crypto, then to watch this video from the beginning and until the end. And as always, if you are brand new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I make a new upload, because you have to watch these videos as they come out and you have to watch them from the beginning and until the end, so that you get the most out of it. And also down in the description of this video there is a link to my Telegram channel where I post a lot faster than I post on YouTube. So join my Telegram channel, it's free, and it's also a huge community of like-minded traders as well, so you guys can communicate. Very useful networking, so to speak. And yeah, so without any further ado, let's just jump right into it, shall we? All right, and before we start talking about all this juicy stuff, please hit that like button. As people are saying, you know, when you are liking the videos of Tom Scrollo, your financial situation starts to improve. So like the video and make some noise down in the comments. And I mean, if you want to unlike the video and dislike the video at the end of this video, that's absolutely fine. So, but in the beginning, it would be nice to see a like. But then if you want to change it, that's fine. So currently, it's most important for us to understand the market sentiment and understand what most people are looking at. And currently, I firmly believe that most people are looking at this from the wrong angle, to be honest. And at some point, I was, a victim of the same kind of a mistake. And let me explain what this means. And let me know down in the comments if you're one of those people who actually thinks in this way. Because as you might know, there is technical analysis, then there is fundamental analysis, there is on-chain market analysis. And there are so many people who are using either one or the other or the combination, etc. And a lot of people are making huge mistakes of misidentifying when to use what. And this is, by the way, a big part of my 5 months long certified and accredited trading learning program, the complete learning program, which you can find at thomascrollo.com. Also links down in the description or in the pinned comment with a nice discount. And a lot of people are thinking that they can use just the technical analysis in the bear market. I mean, it's possible if you're doing scalp trading and day trading, but when you're trying to explain exactly what is happening on a macro scale, so to speak, then just using technical analysis might be a bit complicated. So for that reason, you know, when we are seeing an incredible bull run, like for example this one right here, you can actually just be using technicals because it's just going like a train. It's going upward, and that's pretty much it. You're long biased, you're finding nice key market levels, you're trading proper formations with good risk and money management, and that's it. But when the market is uncertain, just like this one right here, we really need to find this pivotal point when we're going to be going out of this kind of a formation. This is just exactly what we're saying right here. And when we're going to finally see this piece where just the technicals would be enough. Right? Then let me know down in the comments if you agree with this statement and that you understand exactly what I'm saying. Now, we're going to get into quite a few things here that I think should shape your proper view of Bitcoin currently and what you can expect from it. And we'll break a few stereotypes of like using stuff like RSI. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's useless, but I'm going to show you exactly how to use it properly and how not. I should probably say how not to use it. But before we get into it, let's take a look at the Bitcoin price. And as I actually tweeted yesterday on Twitter, and by the way, follow me on Twitter, just a verified account, that this is a very bullish close, in my personal opinion, but bullish, as I said on Twitter, in a super short-term perspective. That we had this kind of a huge retracement in the weekly chart when we actually closed above $30,000, which is a very huge level for us, guys and girls. I mean, both psychologically and technically. But now we're still going down currently, and we actually pushed right below it and went all the way down to almost $29,000. So this is, it's quite dangerous and it's quite nasty. I mean, we had a nice daily close above here, but I mean, we're still pushing down. So let's see what happens in the next few hours, if we can actually push back above $30,000. Until then, you know, it's looking quite grim. But that's what I said on Twitter. You know, I would not be getting, also in Telegram group, so join the Telegram group. You know, I said that it's gonna be, I would not get my hopes up too fast because of this retracement. Because a lot of people are saying that, you know, we are seeing a similar retracement, just like, let me remove this. A similar retracement like we've seen here and here and also here. So this is, you know, capitulation, and we're going to talk about capitulation in this video as well, because certainly there are certain things you have to pay attention to understand whether this really is a capitulation and whether this move is going to have any legs. And this is a huge question that's going to be answered in this video. So in this instance, we really have to mind our risk and money management, and, you know, stay put and not do anything until you watch this video till the end. So, and if you want to be trading actively yourself, longing, shorting Bitcoin, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to go down, you might as well short it, you know, with proper risk and money management, especially if you're one of my students at tomscroll.com. Then with my exclusive link down in the description of this video or in the pinned comment, you'll get up to $4,100 of free bonuses on top of your initial deposit with Bybit. So I personally love Bybit. I have a lot of money with Bybit, and they were voted as the most transparent cryptocurrency exchange in the world back in 2021. So that's awesome. And with my exclusive link, there's going to be 30-day 0% maker fee. So you're going to save a lot of money on trading fees, and also up to $4,100 in free bonuses on top of your initial on top of your initial deposit. So use my link and get those incredible bonuses. So when it comes to our macro scale, let's take a look at another chart which I've prepared right here, which is simply huge. And let's take a look at all the things that people are misunderstanding. So this is the weekly chart, and we are currently seeing this kind of an interesting rejection again in the weekly chart from this very, very important blue support as well as green support right there. We've seen this chart quite a few times before. This is historically super strong, but now we are currently making our way back to potentially like around $27,000 right here. So in this instance, what people are looking at, and what is, in my personal opinion, a huge misconception, they're looking at our things like RSI. So let's take a look at RSI, and what do we see? In this instance, RSI is going to almost into this oversold area right here, as you can see right here. And a lot of people are sending me messages saying, Thomas, well, it's going lower than we've seen in this area right here. So it's going past this mark. It's very close to this mark. Then also it's pretty close to this bottom that we've had in this area right here, which was in 2018, this piece of bottom right there. And also we've seen this bottom in 2014 right here in this area. So it is quite close, and I have to agree with these statements that, you know, it is quite close currently. But there are two comments that I have about these kinds of readings in terms of stuff like RSI. Number one, it's not exactly added yet, so technically we still have ways to go. And certainly, I mean, we could drop all the way down to 20K and it's gonna still be in the same vicinity. So looking at these indicators, trying to pinpoint the bottom is extremely complicated and can be extremely dangerous, because who said that it's not going to dip a little bit lower? So by trying to, you know, time the market and saying that, combining this with some on-chain metrics saying that this is the bottom, could be a bit tricky, because remember, it's very tough to really call the bottom. So that's why we cost dollar average into our positions. But nonetheless, so this is something that is not going to be making very much sense, and let me explain why. Guys and girls, let me explain why, because you're going to start screaming at me in the comments. I know that's fine if you want to scream at me in the comments. Make sure to do so, but make sure to watch this video till the end, because this is very important. In this instance, what is different from, for example, this region right here, and for example this area also, which was this COVID thing right here, and that the big huge difference is the current situation with Federal Reserve. And this is what we're gonna get to very soon, and this is why the CPI is gonna be so bloody important for us, important than really any technicals currently in the market. But also, let's take a look at something that is even more important, and that is, so let's remove RSI, it's just not gonna help us at all in this instance. And let's take a look at the cycles, and let's try to understand the honest situation when it comes to the cycles. So when these purple lines, dotted lines that you're seeing, these are the halving. So this is the first halving right here. This is the second halving, third halving, and this is when it's approximately projected to be the fourth halving will be approximately. So this is the official approximation, the current approximation. So if we're gonna take a look at the date range, then we're gonna see exactly where we're currently located, because a lot of people are investing in assets and they don't understand the concept of cycles and the way Bitcoin is behaving. So that's for that reason I really wanted to put this out there. It's going to be a longer video, but stick around till the end because this is important for you to understand. And there are different ways of understanding the cycles, and you know, everybody is talking about them in a different way, but in my opinion here is the most comprehensive understanding. So in this instance we can see that from the moment of halving, for example this right here, up until our all-time high, it took us about 378 days. When in this, for example, instance from the time of halving, it took us 525 days. When in, for example, in this instance, it has taken us, again, and this is a big question, whether this is our all-time high that we should consider, or this is the all-time high that we should be considering. And this is a huge question because this can actually go both ways. So in this instance, we're saying that these time frames are more or less the same. Some are saying that they're stretching, some that are using actually the first stop as the official all-time high, saying that they're again shrinking and it's just going back and forth. But I think that, and this creates a lot of confusion. What I think is most important is timing the bottom, basically. So from the moment of the halving, when was the bottom, absolute bottom hit? So for example, in this instance was the bottom of 777 days. Now in the next cycle, it was right from this area approximately 900 days approximately. And in this instance, the last one, let's take a look at where we are currently, if we want to say that, and we are still not in this middle zone. So we're coming very, very close to it, but it could potentially be that our bottom could be seen somewhere in this area if we'll believe these kinds of cycles. So currently we are in this uncharted territory of the middle of the cycle. And what my personal understanding is currently, and with what I'm going to mention shortly, is that most likely we might dip a little bit lower and then do some consolidation and finally start moving above eventually. So I'm not believing in prices like $10,000, and I'm going to cover this in just a second why. But this is a very interesting thing to pay attention to, because remember, after each all-time high there was the all-time local low, and then there was a period of consolidation before takeoff, just like we've seen this period of consolidation. And for that reason I'm thinking that if we're going to be due for another dip, just to, you know, completely squeeze all the people out and have this real, you know, capitulation and complete disappointment in the market, then we're gonna see something like this, then maybe some kind of game around, and you know, game around, what the hell did I just say? Play around in this area. A lot of people are gonna leave here, and most importantly, this is when we're gonna turn our money printer on, and this is when also the whales are gonna start putting in the legs as well, start accumulating. So it's gonna have another accumulation zone for the smart money, and this is where we're gonna take off. This is what seems like, in terms of the cycles, this is what seems to be the most logical at this point. So it's a great place to accumulate. I mean, even at this price, Bitcoin is a great buy in my opinion anyway. Now let's take a look at the statistical drawdowns that so many people are talking about constantly and think that they're the smartest in the world while they're not. So let's take a look at the usual drawdowns. So initially in this halving it was 83% from the all-time high. Then in this one it was 87%, and that's pretty much it. So 87, 83, and currently our drawdown right now from the technical all-time high is 62%. So technically, if we believe in the 80% drawdown, that's gonna, you know, take us down to $10,000. And for that reason, a lot of people are, you know, believing in $10,000. But to be honest, is this realistic? And again, this is not financial advice. This is just my personal take on it. And to be able to answer this question, you cannot just look randomly at these numbers and in terms of percentages and say that, yeah, well, if it happened before, it's gonna happen again. It's just not the case. The market is constantly changing. the market sentiment is evolving, you know, and you cannot just say that it's going to be the same thing. Because, for example, what has happened in this area fundamentally and in terms of macroeconomics, etc., what has happened here is different from what happened here and from what happened here. And then also what is currently happening is completely different to what has happened in this area, and this area. Right now we are in the uncharted territory for the world of Bitcoin in general and the cryptocurrencies, because we are starting to see the signs of mass adoption. Two countries or a few countries actually taking and introducing Bitcoin as legal tender. 401k of Fidelity for the pension funds getting access to Bitcoin. Spot ETF in Australia, and the spot ETF is going to follow in the USA. And I mean, with this kind of huge amount of money flowing into Bitcoin, of smart money that knows how to actually hodl it, there is going to be at some point, and again, guys and girls, I cannot say if it's going to be here, if it was already here, if it's going to be here, or somewhere. I mean, all of these predictions are bullshit. But what I'm trying to say that there is going to be a floor, so to speak, at which there isn't going to be enough Bitcoin that is ready to be sold at a loss. There's going to be, and we're going to see some interesting on-chain metrics currently that we can find online as well. This is going to actually prove my point, that at some point people are going to computulate the idiots, and only the smart money, those who believe in the future of Bitcoin, are going to stay and are not going to sell at a loss, and the prices are just going to physically not go lower. And that's why I'm saying that these kinds of instances with the mass adoption and everything that is happening in the world, we're going to see these kinds of effects more and more. So these kinds of volatile movements are they're not going to disappear, but they're going to become smaller. So if in this instance we didn't have this kind of mass adoption 5 years ago, 3-4 years ago happening, and right now we have these, because in so many years, it's been only a few years, but so many things have changed. So for that reason, you know, having this kind of a drawdown, I simply don't believe in it. Of course, we can dip maybe, 68%, maybe 70%, so around this 20K area, retest the previous all-time high, this ultimate pain. Maybe, I don't know, but lower. And I mean, you have to remember that all those corporations are going to have to report negative, gains on their balance sheet because of Bitcoin, and look stupid and have this kind of an effect on their stock price in general, the share price. I don't know. I just don't believe in this. Now, let's take a look at what means capitulation, because of course, we're all saying that in the middle of the cycle, and we currently are sort of in the middle of the cycle, we oftentimes see, and this is what we can always say, that roughly in the middle of the cycle, we see the last capitulation, we see the last shake-off of all the idiots that I've just mentioned, of the people who are unfortunately ready to sell at a loss. And this is in this instance, in this area right here, and also in this area that we're seeing currently. So all the same stuff. And a lot of people are saying that this currently is huge capitulation because of the shape of the candle, which just is, in my opinion, irrelevant, but nonetheless. And we are seeing a spike in volume right here, just like we saw the spike in this capitulation candle right here as well, which is a fair point. It's a bit lower, but nonetheless, it's there. So now the big question, if this really is the capitulation. And let's take a look at two pieces of on-chain data. And this is the number one that I really wanted to show you, is this right here. So this is basically on Glassnode, you can find it. This is Bitcoin realized loss. So this is when a lot of people are just saying, F this, I'm out, I don't want any of this, and Bitcoin's gonna go to zero. This is what's called capitulation. And you're gonna see that we had, and that's when people sell at a loss. They take their loss, they realize that loss. So, and and we've seen a huge amount of capitulation and a huge sell-off in this region just now. So, and it's pretty close to the levels of that we've seen at the bottom after the Chinese FUD. So this is the current situation, and it seems like it could actually be the capitulation, but that's not all that you need to know currently. So don't be too happy just yet. Let me just finish this video. You know, it'll be like, holy shit, Thomas, this is genius. So in this area, in terms of on-chain data, we are seeing the capitulation. For sure, I mean 100%. Now, when we're going to take a look at this on-chain metric, this is going to tell us, let's go to, if it's going to show me 5 years, this is going to be the percent of supply last active 1 year or longer. Basically, this is the amount of Bitcoin that is in the storage, mostly smart money, hidden away just, for the hodl and not give a crap about anything. Kind of a narrative. So, and we are saying right now that when we had this all-time high in this area, and previously we had this peak, because I mean the whales were accumulating in this zone right here, so we were at the peak of about 63%, yeah, something like that, and then the price went all the way to this all-time high, and of course all the whales distributed as always, all the simple on-chain data. I love the transparency. And then we started accumulating in this area again right here, and we currently are at 65, and again we went down in the price dramatically, but the number of Bitcoin that is held in this kind of a that is not that has been not active for the last year or so has actually increased. There is a lot more Bitcoin moving to storage currently, even with this drop right here, which is quite crazy, right? I mean, but this tells us a huge story that there's gonna be another huge rally like this sooner or later. So they're not capitulating. The smart money and the storage and the amount of Bitcoin that is going to be held for the future is not decreasing. It's increasing. So this is absolutely crazy. So, and for that reason, I'm thinking that this is going to be somewhere potentially in this area. We're going to have some kind of consolidation, maybe more accumulation, and then simply the takeoff before this halving, and then potentially with, the introduction of the spot ETF, etc., we might as well go to the area of $100,000+ and then repeat this bullshit cycle here in this area, and maybe, and I did a good job here, maybe even come back to 30K at some point as well. But this is what it seems to be going. This is what it seems like it wants to do currently. But guys and girls, understanding everything that I've just explained, and I have this kind of a cheat sheet right here just to make sure I didn't forget anything. Yes, I didn't. So to understand all of this, we need to look at the last piece of data. So can we expect that the Bitcoin is gonna just skyrocket from here? And the answer is most likely not. What do we need for this to happen? And I did mention this before. Number one, we really need to see the accumulation, more accumulation from the whales, the active accumulation is number one. Number two, we want to see the capitulation, which theoretically we're already seeing right here with all these realized losses. And number two, we want to see the Fed actually be on our side. Because as we've seen before, let's quickly take a look at this and stick around with me, guys and girls. We're almost done. Most important piece of data is coming. Let's take a look at Dixie, and Dixie is still going up like no tomorrow. So the dollar index, really want to see a reversal in it. That's also another thing that's going to help Bitcoin. Once we're going to see another correction in the dollar index finally, then we're going to see a really nice rally in Bitcoin as well. So it probably is going to take us some time. Maybe the dollar index is going to consolidate, do something here, and then finally break down and give us a break, basically. So in this instance, what's most important besides all of these things that I've just mentioned and the understanding and the proper understanding of the narrative in the market currently, I think that the most important aspect currently for us is going to be the CPI, because we are currently at the mercy of Fed. And if we've seen, we want to see Fed and Jerome Powell to actually pivot. And if we've seen just now, because we've seen this right here, I showed you this before, that inflation in April was less than in March, but it was still not low enough and not as low as a lot of people expected. So that's why the market behaved the way they behaved. So currently, we really want to wait until the 10th of June of 2022 for another CPI data release to see whether the inflation is actually going down and it's going to be less than in April. So March, April, May is going to be lower, lower, lower. So in that sense, we could confirm saying that the inflation has peaked and that at some point the Fed is going to start reducing the interest rates and turning on the most importantly, the pivotal point of this video, and finally is going to turn on the money printer to actually stimulate the economy. And once that's going to happen, guys and girls, then we're going to see the all-time highs in Bitcoin for sure. And this thing that is about to erupt in this area is going to just take us all off into stratosphere. So for that reason, I think it's a great place to accumulate. But the big question is, how fast is it going to happen? And again, remember that Fed thinks in quarters, right? It doesn't think in weeks and days and months, in quarters. So I think it might take us another, half a year, maybe 3 to 6 months for the Fed to actually start easing anything, and even that I don't think it's going to happen that fast. So for that reason, we might see some kind of a rally in a short-term perspective, do something a little bit, and then once Fed is going to finally be done with fighting the inflation, and if we're not going to see any black swan events along the way like the UST, then probably in the area of the first quarter of next year, hopefully with also the XRP winning the lawsuit against SEC, the Bitcoin is gonna go to the moon. So let me know down in the comments if you agree with this analysis or not. And if you found this video helpful, please like it, share it with your friends and family members. And as always, if you want to trade with Bybit, claim that $4,100 bonus with my exclusive link down in the comments or in the description. And consider becoming one of my full-time students at tomscarallo.com. And I'll see you then. And stay smart, stay rich, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.